Spectators continue to disappear without leaving trace from the theatres where they are protesting. Ray, any news on that?
Reports keep arriving from people who claim to have seen Flatland in Lisbon, Ghent, Brussels, Toulouse, Antwerp, Paris, Porto, Beslan, Jakarta, Cairo, Valencia, Copenhagen, Tokyo, and a recent report puts him in Guangzhou in China. Two appearances have been reported there, and Laura is with him in Sydney and latest, I believe, in Goa, India. Even the Vatican has seen him, and as far as I know, there are rumors of him living in a casino.
Live from Lisbon, live from Stockholm, reporting from Geneva. This is Ray Brown reporting live from Mumbai for STV.
People come and go so quickly here.
Hundreds of journalists from FTV and other news stations are gathering at the doors of FTV to demonstrate their support.
How did all this begin?
I had a dream. A real spaceland, really existing somewhere in another galaxy, not so far away from our own.
At this point, you were recovering from a deep flat coma. What was it like to dream?
I kept looking at something, and something kept looking back, and the action seemed the same. But what if it were the same, I thought? What if I could make it the same? What if I had a spaceland of my own?
Most people would have given up, but you kept pursuing your dream.
It was impossible to stop. The dream was getting more and more concrete. I wanted it to come true, but each time I woke up, it was over. So I started thinking, what if I build a machine that could link each dream to the next one, keeping me alive in Flatland, but never allowing me to wake up from space?
Could you explain that in a bit more detail? I'm not sure our audience can follow.
Of course. I was in hospital then, and each time I woke up, the idea of space being only a dream was such a disappointment that it would cause my heartbeat to fail, and I would fall into a coma again. Doctors would revive me with more carbon HB14, but I would focus all my energy on prolonging the dream. They would manage to wake me up for a little while, and then I would force myself to fall back into the space dream.
We heard your waking moments were getting shorter and shorter. Doctors thought you would be the first flat man to extinguish, to die. Experts from all over Flatland studied your strange behavior and experimented with everything there was to experiment with.
Yes, it was touch and go for a while.
Flat scientists tried drugs, flat therapists tried massage and acupuncture, flatologists tried telepathic reading and psychosensorial techniques never heard of before. Isn't that right?
Yes, that's right. But the more they experimented, the more vivid the dream would become. And that helped me to collect the exact information I needed to build a prototype.
A prototype of what?
A system with which I could reproduce my dream and switch it on every time I wanted to.
That's incredible. So, you would have us believe that the whole time you were in a coma, you kept on reading?
Exactly. Reading without sliding through the letters, but by trying to join all the lines together, jumping from frequency to frequency. Well, soon I could navigate in my dream in several directions. I could move forward in space and backwards in time. That's when I realized that the first thing I needed to do to connect with space was to eliminate distance.
To connect space. Right.
I created a system that could shorten the distance between them and us. You see, the faster a journey is, the shorter a journey seems. So, the shorter the distance is between the beginning of something and the end of something, the more the thing where you are is the thing where you're going to. There's no difference anymore if you're here or if you're there. It's all the same.
I see. And how do you intend to shorten this distance?
With a vacuum channel between Flatland and the outside of Flatland, where space is.
Of course.
You make the travel between these 2 points so fast that there will be no gap between Spaceland and Flatland.
So, as you put it, you are here and you are there. Interesting. But why this entire obsession with space?
It's not just space. It's the possibility of space being inhabited.
Inhabited?
Yes, inhabited by Spacelanders with the gift of vision.
Can such beings really exist?
Well, yes, but the problem with these Spacelanders is that they're not continuous like us. They keep coming and going, looking and not looking. It's too much fragmentation. Every time you have to start a new relationship all over again. Every time they have to start and end a day. It's exhausting. They're always appearing and disappearing, reappearing and then disappearing again. They live in cycles. I mean, don't get me wrong. Space is a wonderful thing, but it's very limited.
So, you are saying that Spaceland can never be a stable place like Flatland? So, during your coma, you, a common flatman like our audience or myself, built a machine to link space and Flatland. How exactly does this machine do that?
This machine extracts space people out of optical illusions and produces reality.
Reality?
Yes, life beyond space.
But what is reality really?
For space people, reality is a thing that is experienced or seen. A real world in contrast to the one of ideas. Something we Flatlanders cannot grasp, but then again we can dream of.
I see.
Something that gives an impression of time and space in Flatland, and therefore can create time and space in Flatland.
And how did you find the right formula to make this reality machine work?
Rule number 1. There is nothing that exists that cannot be converted into something else. So we just need to convert looking atoms into facts, and facts into reality. This is how it goes. You create a machine that can see everywhere all the time in Flatland.
The mythical eye that never sleeps.
This artificial eye creates the possibility of watching all the time. This eye multiplies the looking atoms it receives from Spacelanders, processes them, and sends them back to them as new information. This process of transformation is called transmission, and it consists of rays of light constantly moving between any 2 points you choose, back and forth.
How can you be sure that these 2 points will never disconnect?
Flatlanders and Spacelanders have opposite ways of looking. One is organic, and the other is artificial. With these 2 opposite ways of looking, we simulate a seduction system between who is watching and who is being watched, and that induces a contradictory, hypnotizing, and endless process of auto-surveillance. You capture people watching, You capture people watching being watched. You capture people watching being watched while watching. You capture people watching what was watched while they were watching, and so on. Everything, everywhere, being watched while watching. Then you multiply this system throughout Flatland. You charge, recharge, electrify, neutralize, magnetize, demagnetize, amplify, digitize, pixelate, microprocess, absorb, restore, dislocate, relocate, connect, and reconnect.
But how do you intend to maintain a constant interest in looking and the feeling of being looked at from both sides?
You just have to create different sources of reality in the same vacuum channel to give them the impression that they can choose another reality if they don't like the one they see. For Flatlanders, it's even simpler. You place signs all over Flatland telling Flatlanders that they are being watched, and well, that will be enough. You see, seeing is believing, and believing is being.
But I still don't quite understand how you produce the information that will travel in the vacuum channel.
Well, vision produces facts. That produce more vision. That produces more facts. And that produces more vision. That produces more facts. That produces more facts. That produces more facts. That produces more facts. So, once you mechanize the phenomena of vision, it will run on its own.
Facts by vision? And what kind of facts?
Facts can be easily produced based on our personal stories or our dreams. Facts don't need to be or be shown. They need to be described in detail in order to produce an image of what they are. It is that possibility of facts happening that makes them happen. By guessing the future, we predict the present second by second in real time. And specialists will report this to the Spacelanders.
You mean journalists?
Yes. And if we inform Spacelanders of what their present is by offering them small packets of organized facts, Spacelanders will react to the information given. We then collect their reactions and report them again. Facts will start speaking for themselves.
There will be hunger. There will be anger. There will be monsters. There will be fear. There will be shock. There will be pain. There will be laughter. There will be drama. There will be disease. There will be
anything you can possibly imagine. You keep replacing facts with other facts, adding, repeating, distorting, replacing, exchanging. Make impossible requests for possible exchanges. Terrorism for politics, hostages for negotiation, and you keep raising the level of difficulty. Mutation will naturally rise from logic. No need for any manipulation of any meaning. By describing every single fact and introducing it into the machine, its computing system will receive the continually changing facts from outside sources, process them rapidly, supplying immediate results and re-influencing the sources, collecting appearances, creating appearances, reporting appearances. Once space people believe all this, you have the guarantee of a continuous flowing reality.
Who will be the journalist reporting on this reality?
I will.
So you will create and report this reality?
Yes, driving through the vacuum channel, back and forth at the speed of light on a never-ending ride between Spaceland and Flatland, always reporting live.
Unbelievable. Does this invention have a name?
Yes, I call it television.
Don't leave your seat. We'll be right back with the first experimental broadcast.
Good evening. Breaking news. A man that appears to be flat has kidnapped an unknown amount of spectators. There are reports of wounded people, possibly cut in half, perhaps in three, and people that might have disappeared. We have reports that curious people are beginning to gather around that theatre. One hostage seems to be missing, and oddly, the director of the theatre denies any programmation in his theatre this week. Yes, that's right. Still no news on how Flatman escaped, or where he went to, or even if he has taken any hostages with him. Let's take another look at some of the images of what happened earlier on today. Around 50 people were taken hostage in a theatre today. Authorities asked people to remain calm and stay indoors, and emphasize there are no such things as flat people.
surrounding the event seem to be different. Is that correct?
Yes, it's an extraordinary situation, but there seem to be different opinions.
TV has opened a direct line for members of the public who have any different opinions about this man, what he is, where he is, who he is, and where he came from, and when.
That were presumed to have been taken home on a bus earlier on, none of them, I repeat, none of them, have actually arrived home so far.
Yes, Ray Brown, non-stop calls to our helpline confirming that several people saw a man in a tuxedo stopping a bus earlier today. A possible photo fit of a flat man was presented today to the press. And for those who are only now joining us, here is a recap of the startling news of the day.
It seems that more journalists are arriving at the theatre.
Oddly enough, surveillance cameras reveal no traces of such a flat man coming in or out of the theatre. Authorities keep denying today's events until there is video evidence of it. More news after the break about the man who apparently wasn't there. Authorities have made an official declaration condemning what they consider to be a conspiracy of spectators, adding that it would not be tolerated. While denying the accusations made by the authorities, most spectators confess that they have at one time or another identified with film heroes or film victims. But then again they replied, "We did not do anything, we were only watching." More spectators are gathered at the main entrance of the theatre demonstrating for their right to watch. Authorities are threatening to use force if more spectators gather without any performance taking place. Bono interrupts his work on saving the world to speak in defense of spectators. Latest news. A videotape with a call for help from Mr. Anton Skrzypiciel was received at FTV a few minutes ago. The actor and the first suspect in this case was kidnapped by a man acting in the name of Flatland. Authorities are confirming the authenticity of the tape and have already declared they will not negotiate with terrorists.
Yes, spectators are turning into the leading performers of this story.
Secret Service agents have managed to save actor Anton Skrzypiciel and have held him for investigation. They have used a lie detector to confirm if this actor is telling the truth about his involvement in the flat case. The results were striking. Whether he was asked about his personal life or recited a Shakespearean text, all the information was considered 100% true by the lie detector. Don't miss our special edition on the flat case after the break. Several hundred TV viewers who were at home watching these events have joined with other spectators, creating a traffic jam in the streets leading to the city centre. More spectators follow their example and join the protest at their local theatres all over the country. For those who are only now starting to follow this story, we'll be reviewing some of the most stunning images of the last 24 hours. We are receiving reports that in various theatres people are offering themselves up as kidnapped victims, protesting for their right to watch. Spontaneously organized groups show their support for Flatman and see him as an inspiration. Spectators continue to disappear without leaving trace from the theatres where they are protesting. Ray, any news on that?
And reports keep arriving from people who claim to have seen Flatman in Lisbon.